Episode 8. When class froze. The freeze did not end when the bell stopped. That was the first lie everyone believed. Ethan stood in the hallway, breath shallow, watching doors line the corridor like sealed compartments. Inside each classroom, silence pressed against glass. No movement, no sound. The building felt emptied without being empty, like a body holding its breath. Then a door opened. Sound rushed out. Chairs scraping, voices overlapping. Laughter that arrived too late and too loud. A class spilled into the hall, students talking over one another, trying to turn what had happened into a story that didn't frighten them. It was just quiet, someone said. My ears rang, another replied. I think the power cut out. No one said we couldn't move. Not yet. Ethan felt the pressure behind his eyes ebb slightly, as if something had decided to allow the noise. The building resumed its routines, but the rhythm was wrong. Bells rang with a brittle certainty. Teachers spoke more slowly. Students glanced at clocks too often, as if the devices might argue back. Claire found Ethan near the stairwell, her face pale. They're telling us to stay in class, she whispered. Administration says it was a systems issue. Ethan shook his head. Systems don't stop people. Claire swallowed. I know. The second freeze happened sooner. It struck a single room at the far end of the East Wing, biology, third period. This time it lasted longer. Students inside felt it like pressure filling the room, pinning them in place while the clock continued to tick, loud and insistent. Ethan didn't see it happen. He felt it, a sudden tightening in his chest, a weight that pressed inward, followed by a release that left him dizzy. When the bell rang, students poured into the hall, faces tight, voices low. It wasn't just quiet, someone whispered. I tried to blink. I couldn't. My hand was stuck. A teacher emerged last, her smile brittle. Everyone back to class, she said. We'll address rumors later. Rumors didn't wait. They spread faster than time could correct. By lunchtime, the school split into two groups, those who believed, and those who wanted to. The cafeteria buzzed with subdued conversation. Students leaned closer, speaking quietly, comparing experiences. The words changed, but the pattern held. Frozen, held, paused. Ethan sat with Claire near the window, watching the digital clock above the serving line flicker. Authority picked the clocks, Claire said softly. Now the clocks are picking us. Ethan nodded. They think stopping us will stop the questions. Will it? She asked. Ethan didn't answer, because the answer was already walking toward them. The lockdown announcement came at 12:42 p.m. Not loud, not urgent, calm. Attention students and staff, the voice said over the intercom. Please remain in your current classrooms until further notice. This is a precautionary measure. Precaution against what? No one asked out loud. They returned to class. The doors closed. The clocks ticked. The third freeze took the entire floor. Ethan felt it build this time, a pressure wave moving down the hallway, thickening the air as it went. He stood, heart pounding, watching the second hand crawl forward on the wall clock. Tick, tick, tick. Then silence. Not soundless. Soundless except for the clock. Ethan tried to move. He couldn't. He tried to speak. His jaw wouldn't open. Around him, students were statues mid-gesture. A hand half-raised, a notebook tilted, a mouth open in the shape of a word that would never arrive. The clock ticked. Once, twice, 3 times. Ethan counted. He had learned to count. On the 5th tick, he felt something else. Resistance. Not from his body. From the room. A faint tremor ran through the space, like a thought forming where it shouldn't. The pressure wavered, tightened again, then released. Sound slammed back into existence. Chairs scraped. Someone screamed. Another laughed hysterically. The teacher stood at the front of the room, staring at her hands as if they had betrayed her. We're taking a break, she said, voice shaking. Everyone breathe. Ethan breathed, and realized the most dangerous thing of all. Someone had pushed back. The pushback wasn't obvious. It didn't announce itself. It left a residue. As students filed into the hall, Ethan felt it like static along his skin. The building felt slightly misaligned, as if time had tried to press everything flat and failed to smooth one corner. Claire grabbed his arm. Did you feel that? Yes, Ethan said. It didn't hold. They turned the corner, and saw her. A girl stood at the end of the hallway, facing the clock mounted above the fire extinguisher. She was still but not frozen. Her posture was relaxed, deliberate. She wasn't checking the time. She was watching it. When the second hand jumped, she tilted her head slightly, as if noting an error. Ethan felt the pressure spike. "Don't stare," Claire whispered. But it was too late. The girl turned. She looked straight at Ethan and smiled. The fourth freeze did not take the room. It took everyone except her. Ethan felt the pressure slam down hard, harder than before, locking his body in place. The hallway fell silent as students froze mid-step, mid-breath. The clock ticked loudly, the only sound allowed to continue. The girl moved. She took a step forward. Another. Her footsteps echoed softly in the frozen corridor. Ethan's heart pounded. He tried to speak. Nothing happened. He tried to look away. He couldn't. The girl stopped in front of him. "You can feel it, can't you?" she said gently. Her voice cut through the freeze like a blade through cloth. Ethan felt the pressure falter. "Good," she said. "That means it's not complete yet." She glanced up at the clock. "You picked the clocks because they're public," she continued, as if addressing someone else. "But you forgot something." The pressure surged violently. The clock ticked faster. The girl didn't flinch. "People look back," she said. "Not at time, at each other." She met Ethan's eyes again. "And when they do, you lose control." The pressure broke. Sound rushed back. Students collapsed against walls, gasping. Someone cried out. Someone else vomited. The girl stepped back into the flow of movement, suddenly indistinguishable from everyone else. Gone. Alarms blared. Teachers shouted instructions. Administrators hurried through the halls, faces tight. The lockdown ended abruptly, replaced by early dismissal out of an abundance of caution. Ethan found the woman near the school gates, watching the chaos unfold. "You saw her," the woman said. Ethan nodded, still shaking. "She wasn't frozen." "No," the woman replied. "She looked back." "What does that mean?" Claire asked, her voice unsteady. The woman's gaze followed the crowd. "It means time finally met someone who didn't accept the instruction." Ethan's phone vibrated. Unknown number. Anomaly detected. Ethan typed back with trembling hands. She moved. The reply came slower than usual. "Containment is adjusting." Ethan looked at the school, the clocks, the doors, the people streaming out into the afternoon light. "Not fast enough," he whispered. That night, the news called it a temporary incident, a technical malfunction, a safety drill. Ethan turned off the television. At 3:06 a.m., the pressure arrived. At 3:07, nothing froze. Instead, the clock hesitated, then ticked. The phone lit up. Unknown number. She compromised the sequence. Ethan stared at the screen. "Who is she?" A pause. Then, "The one who looked back." Ethan understood then. Time could stop rooms, could stop schools, could stop cities. But it could not stop someone who refused to look at the clock. The school emptied too quickly. Students poured through the gates in uneven waves, voices loud and uncertain, laughter colliding with fear in a way that felt forced. Teachers stood near the exits, repeating instructions no one listened to. Administrators avoided eye contact, their calm practiced and brittle. Ethan walked with Claire, the pressure still buzzing faintly under his skin like static after a storm. "Did you see where she went?" Claire asked. Ethan shook his head. "She didn't run. She just rejoined." "That's not normal," Claire said. "No," Ethan agreed. "It's worse." They reached the street. Traffic moved as usual. Buses hissed to a stop. The city, indifferent and massive, absorbed the incident without pause. But Ethan felt it. The residue. Time had tried to flatten the moment, and failed. That evening, the first revision arrived. Not as a message, not as a command, as a story. The local news called it a brief synchronization fault. A combination of sound systems, lighting controls, and network latency. Experts spoke confidently, smiling reassuringly. "Mass suggestion," one said. "Stress response," another added. "Nothing to worry about." Ethan turned off the screen. "They're rewriting it," Claire said quietly. "They're replacing memory with explanation," Ethan replied. Claire hugged her knees. "And if people accept it?" Ethan didn't answer, because acceptance was how it worked. At 9:17 p.m., the pressure returned. Not sharply, gradually. Ethan felt it settle into the room like humidity, thickening the air, narrowing focus. The clock on the wall ticked with unusual emphasis, each second arriving as if to announce itself. Claire noticed too. "It's early." "Yes," Ethan said. "It's adapting." The phone buzzed. Unknown number. Containment parameters revised. Ethan stared at the screen. Because of her? He typed. Pause. Then, because she was observed. Ethan's chest tightened. She wasn't frozen, he typed. The reply took longer. She was not aligned. The night stretched uneasily. At 11:42, Ethan checked the clock. 11:42. He checked his phone. 11:41. A second later, both read 11:43. Claire inhaled sharply. "Did you see that?" "Yes." The pressure surged, then steadied. Time was correcting aggressively now. Overcorrecting. Ethan dreamed again. He stood in a classroom that wasn't his. Rows of desks filled with students staring forward. At the front of the room, the girl stood beside the clock. "You keep watching it," she said without turning around. Ethan tried to speak. Couldn't. She turned to face him. Her eyes were calm, curious, unafraid. "That's why it keeps stopping you," she said. "You're waiting for permission." The clock behind her ticked louder. "I don't wait," Ethan thought. She smiled slightly. "You do. You just don't call it that." He woke with a start. The clock read 2:58 a.m. The room felt crowded. The next morning, the school reopened. Not fully. Half-days. Adjusted schedules. Counselors stationed in hallways. Extra staff near clocks and announcement systems. Ethan noticed the most important change immediately. Every classroom clock had been replaced. New models. Identical. Digital. No second hands. Only minutes. "You see it," Claire whispered. "Yes," Ethan said. No fine detail. No way to see hesitation. No way to see lies smaller than a minute. Authority had learned. During second period, it happened again. Not a full freeze. Partial. The teacher paused mid-sentence, blinking rapidly as if something were wrong with her vision. Students shifted uncomfortably, a few glancing at the clock. The digital display read 10:24. It did not change. 10 seconds passed. Then 15. Then click. 10:25. The teacher resumed speaking as if nothing had happened. Ethan felt the pressure release. This wasn't a test anymore. It was calibration. At lunch, Ethan saw the girl again. She sat alone at a table near the far wall, eating calmly, untouched by the nervous energy buzzing through the room. Students passed her without noticing, their eyes sliding away as if guided. Ethan stood. Claire grabbed his arm. "Don't." "I have to," he said. He walked toward her, heart pounding, the pressure rising with each step. She looked up before he reached the table. "You shouldn't stare," she said gently. "It notices that." Ethan sat across from her anyway. "What did you do?" he asked. She chewed thoughtfully, then swallowed. "I didn't look where it wanted me to." "That's it," Ethan said. "That's always it," she replied. The clock on the wall flickered. Ethan felt the pressure spike. "Everyone else looks at the clock," she continued. "When something feels wrong, they check time first. Counts on that." Ethan swallowed. "And you?" She smiled faintly. "I watched the room." The air tightened. Students nearby shifted uncomfortably, some rubbing their arms as if cold. The digital clock blinked once, then stabilized. "You're going to get hurt," Ethan said. Her expression softened. "I already did." He hesitated. "What's your name?" She shook her head. "Name Stick. I don't want it to remember me that way." The pressure surged again, stronger this time, the familiar warning that time was paying attention. "You should go," she said calmly, "before it decides you're with me." Ethan stood slowly. As he walked away, he felt something strange. Not relief. Alignment. That afternoon, the freezes stopped. No pauses. No hesitations. The clocks held steady. Teachers relaxed visibly. Students laughed more easily. The incident faded into rumor, then into memory. But Ethan knew better. This wasn't stability. It was regrouping. That night, the phone vibrated. Unknown number. The anomaly persists. Ethan typed back. You mean her? A pause. Then, she refuses the reference point. Ethan felt a chill. You can't freeze her. Another pause. Longer. Then, we are learning. The pressure receded abruptly, leaving the room feeling too empty. Claire looked at Ethan from her bed. That didn't sound confident. No, Ethan said. It didn't. At 3:06 a.m., the clock ticked. At 3:07, nothing froze. Instead, the clock dimmed. Not off. Dimmed. The phone lit up. Unknown number. Observation without alignment creates error. Ethan whispered, She's not an error. The reply came slowly. She is a mirror. The clock brightened again. Tick. Ethan understood then. Time didn't fear resistance. It feared reflection. The next day, the girl was gone. Not absent. Gone. No one remembered sitting with her at lunch. No one recalled her moving during the freeze. Her desk, if she'd ever had one, was empty and unclaimed. But Ethan remembered. Claire remembered. And something else remained. On the inside cover of Ethan's notebook, written in unfamiliar handwriting, a single line appeared. Don't look at the clock. Look back. Ethan closed the notebook slowly. This wasn't a warning. It was an instruction. That night, the pressure returned, but it did not settle. It hovered, waiting. The phone vibrated one last time before midnight. Unknown number. She has become a variable. Ethan typed back, hand steady. So have I. The clock ticked, and for the first time, Ethan didn't look at it.